Hello, and let's go over the planar gradient material function. It basically applies a planar gradient from bottom to top to any mesh, so I'm just going to use the vertical gradient, I guess, for now. And it doesn't matter what kind of mesh you have, it applies a planar gradient. And the general use case for this is, for instance, for fading things out. Let me grab a translucent material for now and plug that into opacity. And let me give it a general color, like 0.6 or so. There, let me disable the background so it views better. It might not work without the background. I'm just gonna grab a color real quick. There. Plug it in. Come on. Plug it in here. There. Now if I get a debug time sign and plug it into the vertical offset, you see it fade in and fade out. Now, as you can see, you might want to play around with the scale and the offset. The scale normally is 1. So you can try 1.5 or 0.75 or any value in between, just to tweak that offset a little bit, the scale. But it's often better to just get a lerp and try something like -1, for instance. That fades out fully, and you might have to go higher to fade it fully in, like 1.5, maybe 2. 1.5 seems to work. Let's go for 2 for now. And yeah, you can use it for those kind of things, of course. But you could also use it for skeleton meshes if you want. And you can do quite a bit with that. So you could use it for an opacity mask, but if you want to, you could add some. Let's see. Let's get a debug time sign again. Let's multiply that with quite a high value, like 10. Look at the world position offset, and as you can see, it's moving now a little bit. If I multiply that with the vertical gradient, you get something like this. Let me grab the cube and make it a bit better and set it back to opaque for now. And set it back to like this. There we go. And this can actually be quite helpful, for instance, for a tree, to add some additional motion to the bottom. Sometimes you need to double check where that gradient is at the moment, because you don't want that to be fully white. In this case, you might want to offset it. I'm going to offset it with an add and do like -0.5 perhaps, -1, and that's getting close. -1.25 should be fine then. There. And now you have an offset that's actually moving around, and it works for most meshes, as you can see. Let's see if it works with that sort. It doesn't, because the offset is a bit lower, so in that case you need to play around with it. In this case you might have to remove the offset, and there we go, it's starting to move. You wouldn't want to use this on the sword, but it's still an example. Okay, and there's also a horizontal gradient version, so let me preview that one real quick. And that's sideways, as you can see, instead of horizontal. And if I plug that in, now the side starts to move. The cube might be a better example. Only the right side is now moving. And with this, you always have a planar gradient available to your message without the need of an additional UV channel. And that can be quite handy. A good example for that will be in here, to allow you to fade in things in and out, or to move a mesh around to fake some wind or that kind of simulation. And it's also used here to fade in and fade out a little bit more of that mesh. I think the same can be said about the sorts over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there we go. To fade out these sorts a little bit more. There. So there's a good way to add a planar gradient to your mesh. That should be it. Take care.